I might disqualify myself, but I was bored as this guy's just doing this. If there's a little bit of charisma, an ounce of personality, am I any good at this? You gotta update your look. A Nun review says just as much as a 1-star, and they helped me get some experience. Oh my God, I can't believe we sang that stuff at your wedding.
If you don't look back at your old stuff and cringe, you're doing something wrong.
I gotta warn people, because this guy sucks.
All right, so Aaron, I wanted to obviously touch on your YouTube channel at the start. 5K, well, almost 6K now subscribers on the channel, where you go through all reviews, tips, and advice. I want to get into all of that, but to kick things off on today's episode, I want to know, to a beginner DJ, what's your number one piece of advice?
So somebody just starting out?
Yeah. Someone fresh. They just want to get into the DJ scene. They've got a passion for it, and they're looking to you for some advice.
Oh man. I'd say, like, before you go out there on your own, maybe connect with another DJ that's doing the sort of gigs that you want to do, whether it's clubs or, in my case, mobile DJing. So for the most part, I'd say 95% of what I do are weddings as of right now. The other 5% are some private parties, things like that. I've not stepped in the club scene. I didn't start that way. And to me, I just don't have any interest in that world. Mostly because as an attender. So I went to DJX the last 2 years, and they do shows, and they have DJs there, and I went to it, and I might disqualify myself, okay? But I was bored as fuck. Okay, so here's the thing. Just for me, I'm a little bit older. All right, I'm over 40.
Right.
All right. So that might be part of it. It might be part of, like, old guy, like, this loud. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, where are the lyrics? What this guy's just doing this. So it's just not my fucking scene. So because of that, I usually stick to parties. So if you want to start doing that, I think, like, the route that I accidentally fell in and did really led me to a positive space, which was got hired by another company that did it, and they helped me get some experience, figure out a couple things. One, am I any good at this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think you could tell you get some instant feedback. The great part about DJing is I think you get instant feedback, right? It's either that guy sucked ass, right? Or, God damn, we had fun.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
And you can build off of that. You're not going to knock it out of the park your first try, but if there's a little bit of charisma, if you have an ounce of personality, if you go to events and you care and you treat others well, like, you will do really, really well as a DJ. So, like, stay humble that way. Try to learn. Don't get stuck in the ways, you know? So I always get DJs hitting me up. You know, I've been doing this for 25 years, and, like, yeah, your method kind of blows, bro. And they're always like, I don't understand why I'm not getting any gigs. Like, well, I mean, it's totally obvious that you are still in the 90s. And look, I love the 90s. It was a great era. But we don't do things like we did back then. You know, you gotta come up to date. You gotta update your look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, drop the tuxedo. Okay, you look like the couple's uncle that got hired.
Yeah.
Not a fresh look, bro. You know what I mean?
You've got to evolve with the times.
Yeah, you have to, in a natural way. Like, you don't want to come off as, like, you know, that you, what's the word? Inauthentic as well.
Yeah.
You know, like, how are you young kids doing with the Pop Smoke and the Dr. Dre? You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus, guy. So, like, how do you find a way that you work it into who you are naturally, but you're not coming off as the guy that's trying too hard? That's tough.
Yeah.
Know?
How did you go about doing that? Because the way that you're describing it, it's sort of like putting yourself into a bit of a DJ gimmick, and you're then selling that as your service, as your DJing these weddings. They're paying for you to be there. You're the entertainer there. How did you feel about, like, molding that sort of that offer to the people that you're doing the wedding for?
Yeah, I think you have to, when you go about these things, have some self-awareness of yourself, I think it's not a bad idea to record yourself. So one of the nice things about doing YouTube and DJ gig logs is I would record myself doing things either on the mic or stuff like that. And that is such a good way to get feedback because
Hmm.
a lot of people at the event aren't going to tell you like, you talk too fast or your jokes aren't funny. You're not going to get that. But if you film yourself and you watch back and then then you should criticize yourself a lot. Like, oh my God, I sound like a fucking Muppet. I can't believe that I said that in front of a group of people. And try things, try ideas. And I did. I used to do things that now would make me cringe if I think about doing them now, when I first started. But it's a lot of pressure to be in front of 300 people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And try to like, you're trying to win them over without being obnoxious and the overtalk guy and the unfunny guy and the shut the fuck up guy. You know what I mean? You don't want that. So you gotta, excuse me, you gotta film yourself and be self-reflective.
Yeah.
You're your best critic, I think. And that's where it's like, if you're not getting any reviews, like that's another feedback. If you're hitting up all your couples and nobody's, a none review says just as much as a 1 star.
Hmm.
It's like, well, I mean, that's why I always tell my couples if I went above and beyond, then I'll take a review. And if you struggle to get those, then basically your couples can't really think of anything nice to say about you. So it's the not say anything at all.
Yeah.
I feel like you get that 1 star if you really fuck up. Then it's like,
It's a complaint then.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
complaint. Yeah, I gotta warn people because this guy sucks. Okay. And so then you gotta look at that as like, oh damn it, I really, and again, that's a way to stay. With music, I think we gotta pay attention to what the couples are putting on their request list. Like, and then pay attention to the ones that like you've never played before. And if it works, but here's the thing, like I've bumped into that where I'm like, God damn, that was a banger, right? You drop it the next one, and everyone's like, the fuck is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think what you said there as well about listening back to your own stuff, whether that's you speaking, whether that's you doing a few mixes here and there. They say it in radio all the time that you should listen back to your own shows because if you do that, then you can listen as a listener, and obviously as a DJ, you can listen back and you can listen as someone in the crowd, an audience member, and you can listen back, take yourself out of the DJ chair, and be like, "That was amazing," or like you say, "That was absolute garbage. I'm never touching that ever again." And I think
Yeah.
as well, it's a big thing to keep a log of those because I heard a quote before that said, "If you don't look back at your old stuff and cringe, you're doing something wrong."
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be your number one fan of yourself every time it's done, like, oh my God, boy, am I good at this. There's just no room for improvement. And then what happens is no matter what you're doing, people will dial out. Either your gigs dry up or your content gets less and less views. Why? Because people have had enough of whatever it is your thing is. And eventually, that there's people that I think are nice guys, people maybe I started watching content wise, and then I don't watch anymore just because it's the same thing. It's over and over again, and it's repetitive. And then those things that get annoying, you let it slide. But then if it doesn't stop happening, you just like, okay,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go find somebody else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's the same thing as well. There's always someone else that's doing the same thing. That's making content out there. There's always something else to watch, and you really need to do something different and stand out and really reach your audience to be able to build an audience and have them stick around. And obviously, you've
yeah.
done that really well with the wedding business. That as a wedding DJ, how did you start to tailor that in? I know you mentioned that nightclub scene you didn't really like. Did you do a few nightclub gigs first and was just like, this isn't for me? Or did you just know as going to nightclubs, I hate it. I'm only wanting to do weddings.
So a couple things. I think I'm not like, I don't love that style of music either. I'm not a trance. I'm not a house. Like if I'm home, I don't put that music on. If I'm in the
Yeah.
car, I don't put it on. So I felt like if I was gonna go to a club and play it, I would be such a phony Do you know what I mean? Because I'd have no idea what I was doing. If people were requesting certain artists, I just have no pulse in it. So, and I wonder how typical that is. What are you mostly? What do you mostly do?
I'm mostly the same, like more of a wedding DJ vibe of music rather than the house drum and bass and everything. Because I've DJed nightclubs before, but I've gone in as like a typical cheesy DJ in the nightclub where I'll play like your classics and I'll throw ABBA on there and mix it into some Beyonce. All right, and that because that's the music. If I'm on a night out, I'm like, that's what I want to go out.
Right.
That white girl music that I'll get onto the dance floor with all my mates, and that's what gets us going with it. So that's sort of more the music that I like to listen to, which is why it's the music I like to DJ.
What was the response? When you did that, was there a the fuck is this guy? Like this ain't a fucking wedding? Or okay, so did they respond well, or what do you think?
It was a bit of a mix because I did it. Most of my gigs have been at a uni nightclub, so and it was the uni I went to as well. So a lot of people in there they knew me, but there was also a lot of people that if they were really into that drum and bass music, especially at the DJ society at the uni, they were like, "This guy isn't DJing DJ music. Like,
Yeah,
why aren't we up there? We can DJ drum and bass and everything." And I'm like, "Well, I'm up here. I'm not going to try and DJ your type of music when the majority of the room wants like a cheesy night out. Because the majority
right.
of the room on in a uni nightclub, it is more like a cheesy Wednesday night. That's the student night where everyone dresses up and goes a little bit weird. But yeah, that's so it was majority like positive to it. Yeah,
Okay. So yeah, you're right. It's the crowd. It's if I'm in a certain nightclub, a uni night, like you're saying,
yeah, yeah.
where the college kids are there, they just want to drink, have a pint, and then sing out their favorite songs, right? As opposed to a drum, bass,
Mm-hmm.
all night long, and it's like, is this the same goddamn song that's been
Yeah.
on for an hour? What's happening right now? You know what I mean?
Well,
So yeah, that's why. So it was that. But the other thing is the money.
mm-hmm.
The club money isn't anywhere near what it is for private mobile events. And I originally started out doing this as sort of just like my summer gig because I run two businesses. I started two businesses in 2018. And the main one was going to be I started an after school program, a
Right.
theater program for students. So I run that during the school year. And then I needed something to do in the summer. And so, I had been in front of people before and I was in a band. So I love music. So it seemed like a good mix. And then the DJing business just skyrocketed. It ended up becoming now my full-time thing that I do. I still do the after school program, but it's not as big as it used to be.
Yeah.
So it really was that. It was like I need a week. I need weekend money to pay my bills and 500 bucks to do a club and be gone till 3 in the morning. I got kids. It just wasn't as it didn't sound good to me. If I was 20, I probably would be more like, fuck yeah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Going out there because honestly, it's one of my favorite parts of the mobile of being a wedding DJ is when you're looking out in the crowd and they're having a great ass time. Like there's nothing better. And you see
Yeah.
your couple grinning ear to ear and you play a song that wasn't on their list, but they're like all into it and they're just screaming the words at each other. I don't know, dude. It really is. It's a great feeling. It's a really fun job, dude. It's a fun
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. Because it's also the biggest night of their lives, really. It's the
Yeah.
biggest party they're ever going to throw. So to have, especially the people that are getting married, you see them having a good time, you see them singing, you see them dancing, you see them enjoying themselves. That's got to be a great feeling as the DJ, knowing that you've made that happen.
And you're right. It is a lot of it as the flavor of the couple, but that's our job too. Is like you just don't want to make those guys happy and play their indie shit that no one else in the room ever heard of.
Hmm.
You got to play the stuff that you're gonna get the uncles and aunts out there and their
Yeah.
friends, their college songs, and I started doing stuff last year that I hadn't done. We're really trying to play like songs like they may have heard at their prom, you
All
know.
right. Yeah.
And dude, that shit's it goes off. Like you can tell, like the stuff that they were into in high school, right? The senior year. It just they weren't expecting it at their wedding. And I love like surprising them with that kind of stuff. So that again, that's the thing. Like, how do you keep your ear to the ground, your pulse, Usually I pay attention to songs that a lot of wedding DJs complain about. Like the one I can think of right away is Mo Bamba. Do you know that song?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Remember that was like a huge song for the high school kids, and DJs were bitching about it because it's the mumble rap. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, bro, like I've been playing that a lot last year, and it kills.
Going off, yeah.
It does. You don't play the whole thing, but you just give them the parts where the oh fuck shit bitch.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da. They just fucking go for it. It's like something kicks into them where they're like, I wasn't expecting this, and oh my god, grandma's over there, but let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it gives them that like energy boost, and it is nice to have those songs where A, they don't expect it, or two, they forgot that they've loved. Like it's a
Right.
song that they know in the back of their head and they want to just scream it out on the top of the lungs. They've just not been given that opportunity to, and now it's there in front of them. They're gonna go for it.
At their wedding.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a lot of their friends are gonna be like, oh my god, I can't believe like we sang that stuff at your wedding. You know what I mean? So that's it. Not getting stuck in like the top 200. Okay, I'll say this. When it comes to music, Digital Dave, I don't know if you know who he is.
I think I've
He,
heard of yeah, yeah,
yeah, he's based out of here. Um, he does a lot of speaking at like conferences. He's based out of Pennsylvania. And so he did a speak, and basically he showed us. He said we're a lot of DJs are stuck only playing those top 200, right? But he's like, there's so much more music out there, and you hear that all the time. But like, there's a difference between saying there's millions of songs. I know that, right? But you got to play the songs that people heard of,
yeah. Hmm.
and that's the challenge. But what he said as he puts his crates together is he would go through like the top 10 Billboard hits of each decade and add those into a crate.
Right.
And so I went back from that conference and I was like, that's a great idea. And I went through, I started at like 99 and went all the way up to like 2009 and just what were the top 10 songs. And then I looked at them and I was like, oh my God, I forgot. And I'd listened to them like, oh shit, that song, boom, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then like my next wedding, I was like, I'm going to try some of these. And it was really cool to see the reaction of the crowd when you're playing a song that they were not expecting to hear at a wedding, you know? So I think that's a way to stand out from everybody else is being the DJ that it's not just your couple that's excited. It's that everybody that was there when they're getting married are hitting that couple up like, dude, who is your DJ?
Hmm.
Because that was such a fun ass time. And how do you do that? I think you do that by standing out, by not always playing Uptown Funk and Aretha Franklin. Nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that stuff. But I think
Yeah,
that if you
yeah.
could mix in a good amount of music and songs that nobody was expecting, but it works, then I think that'll help set you apart.
Yeah, definitely. Before you even get to the music choice though, before you even get to the wedding day, when you started as a wedding DJ and you knew that this was the path that you wanted to go down, how did you first go about getting your first couple, getting well, your first few couple of weddings?
Yeah, that's always tough getting going. So because I was working for another company, so at least that kept me doing weddings. I wasn't on my own, but at least I was um, working on mixing, finding songs that worked, understanding how the flow, timelines, all that stuff. And then what I decided to do was go the wedding show route.
Right,
I had connected with two wedding shows in town, and I paid I made a deal with them. They had like a certain amount. I was like, can you charge me what I charge for a wedding? That way, if I just book one, I break even. And they were like, okay,
that's
we'll do
fair.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I went and I set up a booth, and my whole thing was like, I got to figure out a way to stand out from the other DJ companies. So what do I do? A lot of them are their own multi ops. Do you know what I mean? Like a DJ with many, many other DJs.
yeah,
And they were there in suits and they were handing out pamphlets and they looked like drug addicts. And I was like, I think I can outsell these guys. And their setup was whack. They had like a fucking disco ball and like just a table with a black skirt on it. So I wanted to set up my setup. I wore a jean jacket and a t-shirt and like joggers. I didn't want to look like them. You
Yeah.
know, I wanted to look more like a fresher kind of DJ, right? And that was my whole thing was I'm gonna approach it this way. So when they would come by my booth, I knew I have 30 seconds to make you like me and give you out my card. And that kind of happened. So my first wedding show, I booked 13
Oh wow.
from, yeah, for like that year and the year after. My biggest challenge was the question I didn't want anyone to ask me. How long you been doing this?
Yep.
Because I just fucking started. So I had to figure out, let's figure out how do I say that? How do I say it without saying it?
hmm
And so I said, hey, so to be completely honest, I'm pretty new to the game, but I do have a background in presenting and a musician, and I've already worked about 20 weddings so far, which was true from the other company.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
my thing was new. I don't have 5-star reviews. I don't have any of that. So I've, my website was very basic. My Instagram was just nothing. So basically, I knew like I gotta win them with my personality and my price, and that's what I used. So I was pretty cheap. You know, it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
I charged $800 for the whole wedding, and a lot of couples, I was just a no brainer. Like this guy's fun. That price is cheap, cheaper than these guys.
Yep.
Um, but I knew the goal was eventually like get that pricing up. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to be stuck there. So that really helped me going. And then as I worked venues, I would be very intentional about connecting with the other vendors, the venue, give out my card at the end of the night to I'd follow back the photographers. And what that strategy then did was I don't do wedding shows anymore. I'm now pretty much like 98, 99% referrals
Right.
is how I get gigs.
So
Hey, you worked at this one, or hey, my photographer, or hey, the venue, or this, that, and other. So that's honestly how most of my gigs come in now.
yeah, I think word of mouth is such a good thing to have, but it's such a hard thing to get. I think
Yeah.
you've got to be able to go out there, you've got to be able to prove that you know what you're doing. So when you started doing these wedding gigs, especially your first few, when you was there on the day, did you do certain things to stand out and like guarantee that the couple that they was like, I'm so glad we went for this guy.
I think as I approached it, my whole mindset was, and this is what use as a selling tactic also for for couples. It's your day is my Super Bowl. I'm stealing that. That Nick Spinelli says that. He's, like make sure that a couple knows that their wedding is a Super Bowl. It's the only thing I care about. It's the
hmm
only thing on my mind. It's your day. And so I think that's it. When I'm there, I take that week and prep for it. So I make sure all the music's in the right spot. I have never played the wrong song during a ceremony. And that is based on one, just paranoia. I just never want that to happen. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I hear that it happens and it drives me nuts. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know how you cannot give a shit enough to make sure that you are playing the right song for the bride walking down the aisle. Like that just blows
Yeah.
my mind. So, attention to detail the day of, I'm their guy. So if we need to change something or if anything happens, being flexible, being fun with their wedding party, joking around with them in the back room when you're getting them ready to line up. Right away, you win them over, then then they're looking at the wedding party or the bride and groom going, "Oh, your DJ is awesome." And that
Yep.
makes them feel good. That's a
hmm
flex for them. You know what I mean? It's same thing to how you treat the parents. When the parents come up and request something or ask something, then it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that for you. I got you. And now they like you. So, you got to win all these people over. And then during the dance, that's when you got to dial into the crowd and who's in front of you and playing the right music. And then, yeah, that's one way. Getting along with the other staff. So when the venue comes up, like, hey, can you make last call? Even though I fucking hate doing that,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate that. It's such a goddamn buzzkill to call last call because everyone's like looking at their watches, like, oh shit. And then they leave to go get one last drink and then goodbye. I got an empty dance floor for the next 10, 15 minutes.
hmm
Fucking hate that. But hey, we gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Helping the caterers out if you need to dismiss tables or make announcements about whatever. just being very go with the flow. It makes you stand out, I think. Because here's the thing, I think there's enough of those guys out there that aren't like that. So I notice a lot when I go to venues, other vendors will complain to me about other DJs. And I love that. And then it's like annoying at the same time. Like these fucking guys out here doing this
Hmm.
shit, you know? But for our advantage, it helps us to stand out, knowing that part-time baristas out there, playing the wrong song during the ceremony.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take
If you're not putting that full commitment into it, and like you say, it is selfish to not put your full 100% effort into someone else's wedding day when you're being paid to be there.
Yeah, yeah. Or like end it early, like, hey, dude, when I trained with some guy, his whole thing was trying to get the party to end. That was his whole goal, was
Hmm.
trying to get the bride convinced this party's over. So he kept going up to her, like, look, no one's dancing. Should I keep playing music? Or she's like, yeah, I kind of want to go a little bit longer. I'm talking to my friends, like, and he's all pissed, like huffing and puffing, walks away. 10 minutes later, comes back over. No one's dancing. What am I doing here? Why am I up here? Can we end this party? And eventually she was like, fine. All right. He's like, yes. And then he was all happy. And then the wedding planner came up and handed him an envelope. And I remember being hired when I was getting hired from this company, their whole thing was like, you getting tipped is really how you make your money. We're gonna
Hmm.
pay you $25 an hour. So make sure you get tipped. And I'm like, all right, well, let's see what I make. And the envelope looked like it had been opened. When I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it was like tucked.
Right.
It wasn't picked, it was tucked.
Yeah.
And oh, I'm like, either they added or they pulled out. And I'm pretty sure they pulled out because that guy pulled $40 out of that envelope. And the other thing he did was he looked at it too. So like the wedding wasn't fully over. He like snuck under the table and he's like, let's see what I got. And opened up and pulled out 220s. He was like, fuck. I can't believe they paid me $40. And in my head, I'm thinking, God, I can't believe you got $40 out of these people. It's
Yeah,
not good,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
So
it is ridiculous to think that you can just do that on, especially to the bride on her wedding day, to be like, come on, I'm calling it for you. I mean,
right.
the one I did last summer, I think we said that I'd finish at about midnight. I was there till 2:30 in the morning because
Oh
I
my God.
I just said to the bride, she said sorry if it's going over, we'll pay you extra. But I just said, as long as you're dancing, I'm still playing music. I don't mind. I was like, I'm happy to keep going. It's your day. It's not
Yeah.
about me. If you want to keep going, we'll keep going.
Wow. Yeah, over 2 a.m. That's a pretty banging what did the bar and the venue stay open too? Like, are
So
they cool with all that?
it was in their back garden, so they was
Oh,
just
okay.
like, yeah, it was like their own place. They had all the booze themselves. Caterers and photographer had gone, but at this point it was pretty much just bridegroom and their families,
Couple of
like the
friends.
close
Yeah.
families, yeah, yeah, that were
Let's
still
keep it
going.
going.
But I was like, if you want to keep going, well, the only place I've got to be is bed, really. So
Do you watch gig logs? Do you watch American gig logs?
no, no, what do you mean gig log?
Oh, so a lot of DJs, and I've made these two where a gig log is basically you're vlogging the wedding, the
Right.
event. You kind of walk around and you show like, okay, here's where the ceremony is. This is what my setup is. You show shots of the reception, grand entrance, and then dance footage. You've never seen anything like that before?
No, no, not like a vlog of like
Yeah.
a behind the scenes sort of thing. No.
Yeah, that's what they. So I was curious because I wanted to ask like what you notice like the big differences between an American and an English wedding
Right.
maybe. Do you have any pulse on kind of what we do over here?
I've seen like clips, like in the same way that I've seen like clips of what you do on like your Instagram and everything, from a lot of American DJs. A lot of it seems just like a lot like what we do here, like times a
Okay.
hundred sort of thing.
In terms of like how the party is or like the expense or what do you think? What do you mean like
Things that like you have, not like as a DJ, like things that are there for the wedding. People are just bouncing around, UK weddings as well. I don't know, I feel like the DJs in American weddings, they they get involved a lot more than you tend to see DJs for weddings here.
Okay. In terms of like, what do you mean?
In
Like
turn, like
how involved?
like getting the crowd going
Okay.
and like, do you know what I mean? Like I try my best to it, but in weddings that I've been to as well, I've seen DJs that, you know, they'll just sit there on the DJ booth and they'll play songs, they'll take requests if people come up, you know, they'll have a chat with them and everything. But from the clips that I've seen of American weddings, you know, the DJs, they're playing games with everyone, they're taking part, and they're properly getting involved. They're on the mic a lot more. Is that
Yeah.
right?
I think so. I think it's a style too. It definitely like some DJs are like what you're describing. And then some are like out there and on the mic for every song, like put your hands in the air, put your hands in the,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah, yeah.
constantly doing that or jumping out on the dance floor and doing the Cupid shuffle with the crowd. Um, I think that there's a lot of that everywhere. And you know, the guy in the bedazzled jacket, just it's my party, it's my show. You've
Yeah,
got that. My style is like most like once the wedding starts, just
yeah,
mixing, watching the crowd. I don't like to get on the mic and tell people to put their hands in the air or stuff like that. Nothing against it. It's just not my style. I'd rather let the music kind of run the night, you know what I
hmm
mean? And see where it goes from there.
I,
So
I think you're better off doing that sometimes, just letting the music speak for yourself, really. You know, jump on the
yeah.
mic every now and then if you need to, or if it feels right. And depending on what the audience is like, if they want a bit more interaction, then give them a bit more interaction. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. You just got to read the crowd.
I wonder if that's a club DJ thing blending into the mobile DJ because
Mm,
is the club DJ like to talk a lot on the mic too?
I don't really. To be honest, I don't. If I was to DJ a club, but I know a few DJs that do. That they like to get involved with. But I know that if I'm in a nightclub, to be honest, I'm only 22 really, and I already don't like clubbing and like going out. I'm already put off by it, to be honest. But when I was going out a lot more when I was at uni, if I was on the dance floor, I wouldn't want the DJ being like, right, now do this. Okay, now do that. I'm just like, right, I'm here. I
Yeah.
just want to like sing a little bit. I'll have a few more drinks, have a bit of a
Yeah.
dance, and then go get a takeaway and go home.
Sounds good to me too.
But yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I like to ask people on this podcast is a lot about gratitude as well, because
Mm.
I know being a wedding DJ and being as fortunate as you've been with the setup that you've got and all the great content that you're making on YouTube, I'm always curious, what are three things that you're grateful for?
Oh, just in general, when it comes to this, what
It,
am I
it
grateful
it can
for?
be to do with DJing, it can be just in life in general at the moment.
Probably the number one thing is health. You
Hmm.
know, I'm very grateful that it's one of those things where at 40, I'm over 40. I'm 40. Oh shit, I just turned something 42, I think. I'm almost double your age, bro.
Yeah.
Um, so at this point in the game, like I'm grateful that you know I still got my back. This is the kind of shit that you're hearing your parents complain about.
It is, yeah.
This is what we complain. Like I just on my last show, I just did a stream, and I what happened was this last weekend I had a wedding, but on a Friday, but on Monday I had 102 temp and temp Fahrenheit. Do you guys do Fahrenheit or Celsius? I don't know
Oh
what you
no,
do.
oh yeah, we do Celsius.
So I don't know what that is your
Was it
thing, but
what's your freezing? What's your
32.
so ours is zero. So if you're oh, I don't even know.
So it would be under. Okay, so I'm at like 75, like a 75. Is that a temperature? Is that a fever in Celsius? Or am
If
I dead?
you're 75, you're dead. Yeah.
Okay, so we're not doing any math here on the show.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
keep that out of
yeah.
it.
There's a reason we're
Basically,
DJs.
basically, I had a fever. All right, a high grade fever, and you know, having to deal with that. What am I supposed to do? Like, I'm sick. And then I had all the other DJs jumping on, like, yeah, man, I dropped a speaker on my foot once or hurt my back. And, you know, those are things where when you're doing this job, especially a wedding, I would say that, like, if something happens to you, you got to make it. It doesn't matter. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like you gotta go. So I've played sick. I've played with coronavirus. I've played with a bad back. I've played with a hurt foot. I've done all that. You just got to, and you don't go up and you don't complain the whole time like, oh, I got a fever. So if
Hmm.
you guys could just take it easy on me. No, 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 no. You want to get through the whole night and nobody knows about it, you know. And so yeah, health for sure. Um, the second thing is I'm grateful that this is working.
Hmm.
I know that a lot of people are trying to are have attempted to do this specific job and might not see the success or things go as well as maybe I've seen happen in as short amount of time as I have. You know, so I'm grateful for that. It could be the other way around. I could be looking at my calendar and just empty Saturdays.
Hmm.
And I complained last year because I did 72, but I would definitely prefer to have that than
Yeah,
the empty dates. And
definitely.
so I think it goes back to what we're talking about. How did that happen? I think the success in this industry really goes down to building relationships, doing what you do very well, investing in your equipment. I see DJs all the time on my channel, like, or in Instagram or on Facebook, like, oh, my mic keeps dropping out. I don't understand. And they link it and it's like a $100 mic.
Hmm.
Like, that's why, bro. You have shit. Shit doesn't work. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's the problem. So, like, if you're not willing to invest over 800 to $1,000 in your microphone, um, then that's a problem. I don't take you seriously then, like
Hmm.
personally. If you don't have a good sounding PA, if you're not out in your garage, if things go wrong, when something goes wrong at a show, the next morning I'm in my garage trying to
Yeah.
figure out what went wrong, what happened here, because that can never happen again. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I had a ceremony last year where everything was going perfect. All of a sudden, the officiant kind of like bumped the mic off the podium while she was changing pages. And then the microphone got real boomy, just like, whoa. And she's trying to talk into it and it's all echoey. And it jarred the whole deal. Everyone's like,
Hmm.
what's going on? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what that is. Turned off the speaker and I was just kind of like, just keep going. And my first instinct was just to replace the XLR cable. Boom, pulled that out, stuck it back in, turned it back on, and it worked the rest of the
Right.
ceremony. So then I take it back home. What was that? And I ended up figuring, I plugged everything in the way it was and then turned it on and I couldn't replicate it. And then I accidentally bumped the XLR cable while I was doing something else. And then it happened. I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
It's a bad cable. And I took the
Yeah.
cable out and threw it in the fucking trash. I was like, that's never, God damn it. And every cable that looked like it, I grabbed it and threw that one in the trash. And then I went and bought like very, very high end expensive XLR cables. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So
you got to prevent that from happening again, really.
yeah, there's no excuse for that. I mean, and it does, it happens. And whenever that happened, I apologize to the couple and you just got to make sure nothing else goes wrong.
Hmm.
I think you usually get a pass on something. But what you don't want is I think to myself, man, there was like 100 people in that ceremony that now when they're planning their wedding, they're thinking, well, whoever we get, let's just make sure that that doesn't happen at ours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be the one that everyone's like, don't let that happen at our wedding.
Hmm.
Whoever that guy was, we don't want that shit happening at ours. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
how do you do that? It's taking everything seriously and working out the kinks.
Yeah, you've got to invest in your equipment. You've got to take care of it. If something goes wrong, you got to know what it is. You got to get on top of it, and you got to fix it. So
Yeah,
we've got your health, we've got the opportunity to DJ, and what's the third thing that you're grateful for?
my family. And I'd
Mhm.
probably, put that above all of those things, but for sure, my wife is my best friend. We've been married for 19 years
Oh wow.
and she's my go-to. She's rescued me. I did a show where I left my bag here with all my cables was in the garage and I got to the wedding and I didn't see it and I was like, I'm fucked. I'm totally fucked. I have no way of even doing anything. So I had
Yeah.
to call her like, honey, I forgot my. She drove out there with the kids and met me, got me the bag, and they made a little day of it. They drove around the area, you know. So she saved me that way. But, you know, even with my other business, when I got sick, I needed somebody to cover for me, and she went and taught the classes for me, and vice versa. We're always there for each other.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, like having somebody in your life that knows you, puts up with your bullshit, laughs at your jokes, loves you back, it makes life all the more special and you know, kind of grateful every day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The years go fast and the days go slow. You know, I think the saying is. You know, same with my kids. So I'm trying to enjoy every moment I have with them. Having to work on the weekends takes me away from them, you know, on the weekends. But during the summer, uh, daddy's home from Monday to Thursday, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that. Getting to the flexibility of that allows me to, like yesterday, I just went and had lunch with another DJ buddy at, you know, and I just wasn't watching the clock. We just were hanging out.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you own your own business, you can make your own decisions that are good or bad, but the flexibility of that is pretty awesome. So I love being my own boss.
I think that's got to be the best way to do it. Having that flexibility to be able to spend time with your friends and family. I know you say yeah, Friday to Sunday you might be working, but you've got that Monday to Thursday, and it's in those peak times where it's in summer where that really counts, especially with your kids. But obviously during the rest of the year, you've got those days to practice. You've got those days to do whatever you want to do.
Exactly. And make the most of it. Take the days.
Mm,
If you can't do it on Saturday or Friday, look to try to do some events on Monday and Tuesday. You know, look at
yeah.
that as your weekend. Um, it is the, you know, the balance there, trying to figure that out, saying yes to gigs, saying no, taking time off, all that good stuff. But it is a lot of fun not having somebody call me up and tell me I need to be somewhere. I
Hmm.
lived that life before and I won't ever go back to it. So you at 22, if you can do this on your own and you don't have to have a boss, I'm telling you, you're setting a path for yourself that you'll be a lot healthier, you'll be a lot grateful, you'll be less stressed and miserable because
Hmm.
I think that's what contributes to a lot of people being kind of upset or miserable is it's usually you can trace it back to the job and a shitty boss, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, definitely. And I 100% agree with that. I think a lot of people, I mean, the 9 to 5 is for a lot of people as well. Don't get me wrong, but if it's not for you, you know it's not for you. And then you've got to find your passion. And if you're lucky enough, then it'll take off in a way that you can be your own boss with that and have that as your way.
It comes with a hustle. You got to work, it doesn't come easy. That's one thing too. A
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of people think like I want what you have. Well, okay, well, I'm not saying me specifically, but if you see somebody out there, it's like, all right, well, it just didn't fall into any lap. You
Yeah.
know, there's a behind the scenes of kicking ass, of nightly Zoom calls with couples, of going here, going there. You know, all that stuff comes with hard work. I sound like an old dad again. If you're not out there working hard, then you don't get to play hard.
That's what it is, though. You've got to put the time in, you've got to invest in yourself, and you've got to back yourself. And then you've got to, like you say, you've got to hustle for it.
Exactly. And the reward will come. You'll get it. You know, it comes.
Thank you very much for coming on today, man. I've loved speaking to you, and hopefully, a lot of beginner DJs will take a lot from this episode. I know me and myself, I've definitely taken a lot from it as well.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.